Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Style by God, Style for a Purpose. And today I am here with a good associate from back in the day. We worked together back in the day, and he's here today, Filmmaker Dunbar. Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about his journey in filmmaking and his purpose and all that good stuff. And I'll be sharing my experience on working with him for the short film Tango and what that was like. So we can go ahead and get started. So yes. What I always like to do is start off by sharing how I met my guests.
Okay.
So you and I met through one of my classmates from acting school.
Mm-hmm. Was it Tita or Tita?
It was either
or Valeria?
Tita, yeah, it was
Valeria.
Tita and Valeria. We
right.
were both all, we all were in the
What's up, Tita? What's up, Valeria?
Right. Hello, ladies.
And Greg. What's up, Greg?
Yeah, Greg. Yes.
Can't forget about Greg.
Greg was my son in Tango. So anyway, so that's how all that started. So you reached out to me because you were looking to cast the mother.
Yeah, of Greg. Chase. In the film, his name was Chase, and it kind of went together because sometimes you have films that work because you throw money at it, or you have films that work because the acting is some big name actor, but it worked because I think it's just something organic. Because I asked people, "Did you want to do it?" And people said, "Yeah." Like no one auditioned for it. It was just like. Man, I think you got a great talent because I met Tita and Valeria. I met Tita, and she was the first one that was casted. Mm-hmm. And I asked her, did she have friends and someone that she knew? And she was like, "Yeah, I do." So actually, I offered it to another friend, and then Greg was the friend of him, and then John went to New York. And so John was like, "Yeah, man, I got a great guy that would like to do it." And then it would happen to be Greg's house that we filmed in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all that tied in together, and then once we did the mother role, we came to your house and did it in your house too. So it made it work.
Yeah, it did work. It worked out fine. And there's something I always like to say, as everybody's on their journey of purpose, is that we all have these divine connections along the way.
Yep. That
propels our purpose or our journey even further.
Right.
And I call that purpose connects the dots. That's my term for it. So,
wow.
Yeah, so by having those connections, just by going to acting class, and that opened up an opportunity, for me to have be able to be a part of this amazing film, which was really good. The storyline and everything was really good.
Yeah. We the guys kind of got carried away with it.
Yes. So yes, let me put that out there to everyone. If y'all go trying to search, if y'all go looking, it is on YouTube. But I'm just giving you fair warning. Look, I didn't know. I was just doing my part. That's all I'm going to say. I just did what I was supposed to do.
A great mother.
Yes, being a great mother, a concerned mother looking out for her son. And that's all I'm going to say about it.
Yeah, Greg did a good role. I mean, the girls did a great job. And I'll tell you how that came about. I was in film school, and we had to pair up with someone to write a script. And I just never was the type of guy that can, start writing. It just had to come to me. Mm-hmm. And so the one came to me, and I recently came out of the military army. I was army before I got into film. Okay. And so I'm going to write from a perspective I know.
Yeah.
And so we wrote the film, started out with the two girls, and I guess we kind of tied it in with another guy, and then it was the two guys kind of got into a fight over one girl, and then it just kind of played from there. And so it just came to me one day that the girl would, put her friend in the tub, and so it just connected the dots. There's a software program that we write in. It's free. It's called Celltext. And the co-writer and myself, we were writing. I mean, literally, we had to put this together in an hour, turn it into class. And he was writing from home, making corrections. I'm writing from home, making corrections. And then it was crossing up, and it was like, so I was like, man, I called him. I said, man, are you making corrections to the script? He said, yeah. I was like, are you up? So it was like, we finally got it done and submitted it. And a professor liked it, said it was a good script. And so I just put it on the shelf, never even thought about it. So, and he kept asking me, he said, man, what are you going to do with that script you wrote? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I think you need to do that tango. And one summer came around, I had a few dollars, and I just went out and cast it and made it work. And it came together. It was me and a few guys. Our first time like working together, and it kind of like got us together for other projects, and it actually worked.
Okay.
Yeah.
It did work. It worked out really well. Even when you brought me in, and I made the suggestion for how Chase's mother would.
She was anxious, anxiety, waiting for her son to come back from the military.
Right, and then how she would be just a mom that was really into fitness. So we kind of create. I think I had made that suggestion. I said, because at that time I was really into yoga.
Yeah. That's right.
I said, can she be a yoga mom? And when you filming her, she's in the midst of her doing her yoga. And see, I didn't think about that. That was your perspective, and you brought that to the table. Right.
And I think
that's what I enjoyed about it. I was able to bring that to the table.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's the key of a good director is you have a vision, but then the people on your crew and then the other producers and writers, they kind of shape it. And then you have to understand who's giving you advice, and if they understand the story, then you can incorporate that into the story. Because sometimes the directors are just a tool, and then sometimes they control everything.
Right.
But I've worked with a lot of directors, and Mr. Perry, Stan Lathan, Michael T. Williamson, a lot of people. So what I'm saying is those directors just listen to the people around them.
Really?
And that gets the job done, because it's a pull and tug, because you want to give people some insight and some influence, because you don't want to just be slapping their whip all the time, and people just gradually do what you ask them to do. But if you allow them to put their input in, and then it makes a great project. Right.
So how did it all start for you? How did you get into filmmaking? Where did it begin?
Well, I started out in the military doing spoken word, and it was a group we had called 5 Degrees of Life. It was 6 of us, but we called 5 Degrees of Life, right? Okay. So, but anyway, so we started doing spoken word at this one club, and then this one young lady, Francine, what's up, Francine? She asked me if I wanted to play in one of her plays, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I was still in the Army, so I couldn't dedicate all my time to it, but I kind of let it work. And then once we did one play, I think she came and gave me $300 after the show. Okay. And so, I was like, what? I can do this, but long story short, and then I got a job delivering furniture, which was probably one of my favorite jobs, because it allowed you to be out moving, and I had a young guy with me, and actually some of the stuff that we encountered delivering furniture was very funny. It was exciting. You know what I mean? It's every day is something new. And so I was just thinking about, I was like, man, I'm gonna write a movie about this stuff. And that's what I did. So I would go, we had like a 2-hour gap for lunch while we did the first morning deliveries, and then we'd come back and take a lunch, and then we'd go to third. So I would go on my lunch break, and I would go to the bookstore and read books about script writing. And I never bought a book. I just would take a notebook, paper, put it in there, bookmark it, and come back the next day. And so I read about 3-4 books that way. And so I finished the script, I wrote it, and then I just was looking for people in my area, which was in Fort Benning, to write it, to film it. And I stumbled across film school, and I found out I had money for school, which is film school, and I went. I did 3 years, and before I graduated, I was already had a production company and working at Tyler Perry Studios.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
So how did that come? How did you end up working at Tyler Perry Studios?
One summer, a young lady, we were in the elevator, and she said, "Hey, what are you doing this summer?" I said, "I'm not doing much of anything." She was like, "Well, I know someone that's doing a film, and it's a low budget. Do you want to go work it?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I turned my resume, I slid my resume in, and then the very next day, I went to help one of my friends do some lighting or do something, and we got to talking, and we were setting the lighting up in the production office of the film that I submitted a resume to. And I saw it when I walked in, I saw it. I was like, "Hey man, I just submitted my resume to them." And he's like, "You did?" So we talked to the UPM, and she hired me on the spot. And so I worked for them for 16 days straight. And it was free. I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I worked all the way till 1 o'clock at night. And I did that for 16 days.
What?
For free. And and so eventually, one of the directors there, one of the assistant directors saw me, asked me, did I want to work at Tyler Perry? I thought she was joking. And I was like, yeah, so I've been there ever since.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, 16 days straight.
Right. Yeah, it was it was crazy.
Yeah. At any point because that's a lot. So.
Yep, it was a lot. But I guess at that point, at the time, I would have did anything they wanted me to do, because I for one, I didn't want to do anything else, but I wanted to get in, and I, coming from military, I just know that someone gives you something to do, you just do the best of it. You know what I mean? Best that you can, and being on time and prompt, and I think that opens up a lot of doors.
Right. So, so at what point did you know that this is what you were called to do? This was your purpose?
Well, a lot of things happened along the way before I got into film. But once I got into film, I saw that all the stuff that I did before paralleled to what I was actually doing. I got my CDLs. I went to theology school. And then I went to film school, and all that ties into what I do now. I'm in production. I'm a teamster, as well as a director, producer, all that good stuff. And sometimes I do faith-based films, and all that tied in together. So once I got in, and when I say almost, it's like there was a point where I had to make a decision whether I was going to give up film or I was going to go and work another job. And I just toughed it out. I said, I'm not going to give up. And finances wasn't there. It was kind of low, but I made it through, and now, I make great money.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So, what kept you motivated and determined that this is what I'm called to do? So I'm not, like you said, the finances were getting low, and that was, I guess, a lot of things could have happened there with just like, let me just do what's easiest right now.
Yeah. Well, I think the one thing that kept me in film when that was kind of happening is Atlanta is kind of old but new to film. Film has already been around like the 70s in Atlanta, but it's starting to blossom now. So once you mingle around people that are in film, they kind of motivate you to go along. And our friends and peers that I see that are doing great things now, they kind of, mingle with me. I mingle with them. I will go do free projects, go do seminars, go do workshops, film festivals. And those things were right at their fingertips. Like if you stayed in another state or another country or somewhere where it was, a commute to get here, then that would be a different story. But being me living in Atlanta, 30 minutes drive, or hour drive, I could be on the set.
Right.
And that kept me motivated and kept me going towards film.
Okay. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me see. I'm going to take a moment here to acknowledge my friends, Priscilla. Hey, Priscilla.
What's up, Priscilla?
And Latanya. Latanya is here. She's my creative director for Rara Style Appeal. Yay. So They are my cheerleaders.
That's what's up. We all need cheerleaders, right?
Yes. So, now along your journey of filmmaking, what have been? Are there any specific? Well, you mentioned how it got low for you at one point where you weren't making the money and the finances weren't coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Were there any other type of challenges or obstacles that you faced where that made you think like, is this what I'm called to do? At any point did you doubt that this was what you were called to do?
Yeah, I mean, like, apart from the finances and getting to set, like getting to work, and then sometimes you work with some knucklehead people,
right?
and it just seems like at some point, I don't know. I guess there's a learning curve to everything, but at some point it's like you never can do anything right. It just seems like the more you try to make things work, something was fighting against you to not, make that work. But working with some knucklehead people and personalities clash, and then just the actual. Working with people for 16 hours for 60 days or just a couple months, and then you kind of have that friction there. Yeah. But I think I knew I was going to stick with film, and I knew some of the people that I was running into and having that type of conflict with, they weren't going to stay around too long. And I didn't. It's not I didn't judge them, or just I just figured. Let's see who's going to outlast who. And I just figured I was going to stick around longer. And I dealt with whatever they put out, because I knew it was just a period of time. Right. And I'm not saying that I was, but what I'm saying is every level, there was the same people and the same personality, because now I experienced that from a different point of view. So it's never a point where you make it. It's always a point where, oh, I recognize that. Right. Oh, I see where they're coming from. Oh, I see this obstacle up the way. Right. And then you can maneuver past it.
So you're passing the test as you get to each level. You're passing the test, and you're recognizing those. Yeah.
And I think that was the key about filmmaking is being able to deal with a situation, assess the problem at hand, and then be a problem solver. Some of the films that we talk about today that are great films, like Jaws, they budget that for 20, 30 days to film, and it ended up being 56 days. So,
oh wow!
You know what I mean? Okay. But they find a way to solve problems. A lot of times at TPS, there's things that go wrong, budgets that things that you just don't foresee, right? And it happens, and well, it can be something like this: rain. You got a shot built for outside. You set up all day for it, and then an hour later it starts raining. Right. Okay. So, but I think that is the enduring.
So what do you do in a situation like that? Like you said, with the weather, is there a plan B, or do you just like, okay, we're going to have to shoot this scene later until the weather meets the conditions for this particular scene?
Well, it's both. It's both. I think sometimes if producers and ADs, if they're doing their job, it's always you're looking at the weather, and if you're in a big production or a huge set, there's someone always looking at the weather. And I mean to the minute of knowing when the rain is coming, so they prepare for that, cover up equipment, maybe do an alternate scene when you're inside, and then sometimes the rain makes it even better, because I've seen scenes where they bring in cranes and bring in condors to make rain, when you can just wait a few minutes and you get real rain. So, it's just one of those things. It's like, sometimes it line up and sometimes it don't,
Okay. So have there been any projects so far that you've worked on do you have a favorite project that you've worked on?
Favorite project?
Do you have any favorites?
Let's see, favorite. I guess it depends on what role I'm playing on the project. Okay. I love to direct, that. So, but then I do projects where you're working with so many different people. You're interacting with so many different people. I did a show, Home Free, and that was really fun because we had ATVs. We had four-wheelers. We were going in the back of the woods. You know what I mean? And it's every day it was something different. We actually, that show we built 12 houses in 10 weeks, and it was just one of those days. It's like one of those things where you out in the sun every day, all day, and you know you run across some critters, snakes.
Right.
Everything.
Okay.
But that was a fun project. That was pretty fun.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who has been have there been any people that have influenced you? You have any people that you looked up to, mentors?
Oh yeah. Every show. I mean, there's somebody from every show, and then a lot of people look at the director. But someone like Mr. Perry, he has great people around him, and some of those great people, like pull me to the side, talk to me, whether it be just a casual conversation, taking them to and from the airport. You know, someone can give you some great advice, or they see you and they give you a word of encouragement. But it's sometimes it's always that person that behind the scenes that you don't see. If you wouldn't recognize the names in the credit, you know, and then to be honest with you, a lot of times it's been women for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
It's been women, and it's like those relationships I've been trying to cultivate more. But I mean, like some of the women that I know that I can call out names, but I don't want to forget nobody. Like they literally will call me or send me a text and give me some great advice about something. Oh, this union is open up. This is what you need to go do, or you know, this is what the last person did in this position. You can learn from that. You know, and those people are, you know, I won't forget them. But I don't want to call people names if you don't forget everybody. You know, what do you mean?
You didn't say my name.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, what have you found your particular niche or style as a filmmaker or director?
I think I have a style. I'm starting to notice shots that I like and prefer, and I think each project brings on something different. And it depends on, for me, I haven't did a horror flick yet. But we have one scheduled here in September that I'm gonna try my hand at, and so I'm in that lane of watching scary movies and horror flicks. Well, I won't say horror flick. I just say suspense. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I really like Get Out. I don't think that was horror, but
that was that was good. That was good.
Yeah.
I'm not a horror person either. So suspense, I like suspense.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah.
And just kind of when you talk about style. You probably don't know, but like we shot Tango in one lens. You didn't know that, did you?
No.
I like we didn't know. We just went to a rental house and we grabbed this lens, and the guy there told us, look, this is what you need. You need this lens, and it's gonna just take your film to another level. And we took his advice and we spent the money on the lens, and we didn't think about anything else. It just looked so good from that point of view that style was a style that I kind of fell in love with.
Okay.
So, so that's a little trick that I use.
Y'all take notes.
Yeah, I'll tell people later what lens we use, but you know what I did? I told somebody what lens I used, and they asked me, in the next film they used it. And it looked good too.
Okay.
So that lens is my style, I guess I would say.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, and are there any particular genres of film that you prefer to do?
I think I have a little comedian in me, I guess, what I mean by that, because some of the films I write, and I go back and read them, it'd be some great punchlines in there. To me it is, but I like comedy and just drama. I really don't like sci-fi, because I guess my mind doesn't like see stuff that I can't do with a small budget. Like we have a lot of CGI stuff that could be done every day, but I mean like
what's CGI?
Computer generated images.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you can do a background, a car. You put a car here. You can waterfall in the background. You can do all that.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Just with a simple computer.
Yeah.
Computer program but I mean stuff like storylines that like you can see every day. That storyline that has something that's a motivation factor in it, or just a line in it.
Yeah.
But not saying that CGI and sci-fi don't have those, but I'm a more like drama comedy guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I believe that.
Yeah.
So what have you worked on? You said you're still at Tyler Perry Studios. So what are you working on there?
Well, we're on the hiatus from there.
Okay.
So, but right now I'm working on the film. It's called Tyson's Run, and it's about a kid that has autism, and he meets a Ethiopian guy that kind of shows him a passion about running, and that passion of running kind of brings his parents together, because sometimes parents have kids with disabilities, or the kids that have a challenge that separates the parents. But when they find out that the child is good at something, then they support the child, and that kind of brings them closer together. So we're doing that film now. We're filming it all over the city, and so when we jump off that, we'll probably go into another movie, another film. I love doing it. I love taking breaks. So 3 months, 2 months, you got to take a break.
Yeah. I believe it. So you mentioned that you write as well. So do you have any films right now that you've written that you're eventually gonna put out there?
I have I wrote one about boards. It's about a black girl. I don't know if I should say that. No, but it's about a black girl that goes to Africa, and she comes back with a new point of view in life. And she kind of works as an intern at an abortion clinic, and she tries to change how we view abortion. And it's interesting. It's suspenseful, but it kind of comes full circle at the end.
Okay.
And I like that one. It's just some of these things that come to me, either they come from casual conversation between people, and then sometimes they are dreams. Like that one was a dream that I had, and I've just woke up and I just typed in my text to myself, wrote it in my phone, about 3 pages, and I gave myself time to kind of like put the pieces together, and then over like a 3-week period, I finished it.
Okay.
I wrote 90 pages.
Wow.
And so I like that one. And I have one where a horror flick that takes place in a strip club.
Oh wow. That ought to be.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. And I just write a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah.
I actually created a TV show. About the pitch is give me an hour and I'll make you love Atlanta traffic.
That's funny. Really?
Yeah, give me an hour, I'll make you love Atlanta traffic.
What?
That's hard to do, right?
Yes.
Whew, so I was about to pull my hair out sometime with traffic. But
wow. Yeah, my husband was just showing me something the other day about something on Facebook. Somebody had, it was like a meme of different situations about Atlanta traffic. I can't remember, but it was pretty funny. I wish I could remember what it all said, but it was pretty funny.
Man, if you can survive the traffic in Atlanta,
I know.
You can do anything.
Exactly. Wow. So, let me see. Do you have a favorite filmmaker? a filmmaker that you admire, whose style you admire, or work you admire?
You know, Ava DuVernay.
Yes.
Ava. I think everybody else has done a lot of good stuff, but I see she has a style, and I think her and her DP work good together. One of my favorite movies was Selma. I just love how they shot that movie. Like, I mean, this is just like filmmaker talk. Like, when I watch a movie, you know, you would like for every shot to be like a photograph. Like, when you stop the movie anywhere, you push pause, and then you can take that image and put it on your wall as a picture.
Right.
And Ava did that.
Yes.
They did that in Selma. She did that in her first movie, I think, in Nowhere to Run or Nowhere from Here. I forget the title of it, but that movie was shot very well too. So,
and even with Queen Sugar.
Oh yes.
Yeah, she definitely does. Yeah.
Queen Sugar. They shoot that. I think they shoot that with a couple cameras.
Oh really?
Yeah. Okay. So it has a different look to it.
Oh, okay.
Because they have to speed things up, but that's shot very well too.
Yeah.
And so the person, Ava, I love her stuff. Always, Spike, and then probably favorite actor is Denzel. But Kevin Costner has a series out called Yellowstone, and I think it's shot in North New Mexico or Wyoming, and the beautiful terrain of, like, you know, the mountains in the background and the drone flying over the cows and you know, the snow in the background. Oh my God, it looks good. And you know, so that style, I guess I like the cinematography of those projects.
Yeah. Okay. So your team, your production crew, how many are there?
It's basically so my production company is a black man with a film crew. That's myself, right? And so what happens is I've built this Rolodex of people that I know. So when a project comes to me and there's an adequate enough budget, I pull all the people together to make it work.
Oh, okay.
So some projects have 5 people, some projects has 10 people, 14 people. And what happened is I've kind of built a core with those people, and when I call on them, I give them an adequate day rate, and they come out and do what they want, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just myself, but going forward, I have a core of people that I deal with.
Okay. Okay. Good. Now, Patricia is watching.
What's up, Patricia?
He was asking for you.
Yeah, I was
so
like, where's she
you're
at?
here. Yay. She's watching.
She's writing papers?
He was asking for you just before. Yeah. I told her you were writing a paper, so.
She's getting that doctorate. Doctor. Is it Dr.
Working
Patricia?
on it.
Is it
She'll
Doctor?
be Doctor, yeah. Yes,
Gotcha.
she'll be Dr. Anderson.
That's what's up, girl. Do your thing.
Yes. And she said, "Hey, Dunbar."
What's up, buddy?
Good. Okay. So let's see what else we got here. Now. So okay. So your film crew. Okay. So I like the name of your production company. Black man with a
film crew.
Black man with a film crew. So keep that in mind when you're getting ready to do your film or whatever.
Look me up.
Look him up. Yeah. He does very. I really enjoyed working with you. You're definitely easy to work with, and I just like your styles because you're very you flow very well, and you're very professional, and just very good work. Excellent work. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of directors, and I think I've watched a lot of people, and I guess a professional set is a quiet set, so you don't need people yelling and screaming and all that to get it done. Just, you know, everybody know what they're supposed to do,
right?
and
right.
just do it. You know.
Wow. So so with the industry the way it is, it's just growing by leaps and bounds here in Atlanta.
Right.
What advice would you give young filmmakers that are trying to make it here in the industry in Atlanta?
Like advice I would give is, first of all, moving to Atlanta. I would say you know, that's a lot of times people reaching to me on social media, and they want to do it from wherever they're at, and it's kind of easier to do that or play basketball around basketball players, or it says if you build a rocket if you hang around astronauts. So, you know, just certain things like that. You got to be around those people, and you know, and I think moving to Atlanta is that a good thing. And then once you get here, you got to be proactive and, first of all, not concerned about the next person, because some people look up and down. Like today they're hot and tomorrow they may not be. If you compare yourself to that person, then you won't be as where you're supposed to be. And then third, I guess, having the faith to believe in yourself, to know that you can do what you want to do. I think some people kind of, for me also, I think sometimes we kind of doubt if we can do it because we're looking at it from our point of view. And I think God has kind of set it up to where we start taking those steps, the provision is there.
Yes.
You know,
exactly.
It's there for us. And
Exactly.
But leaving, taking that first step is sometimes the hard part. And then once you get that momentum going, and then the provision just start coming in.
Yes.
You know, and then they kind of like, some people coast.
Right.
You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I always like to share when I share my story or share the journey of my purpose, is that I use the term "just start." It's all about just starting. And once you start, then that opens the door for all the opportunities and provisions that are made available already.
Right.
So the path is already set.
Right.
It's just a matter of you just starting.
Going and doing it. Go and do it. And I went the route of film school. I don't think everyone has to go to film school. But my route was film school because that was a way for me to be able to provide for myself. Because I was leaving the military, they continued to pay me while I went to school.
Okay.
And that made it easier for me to make sure I got what I needed.
Yeah, okay.
So
that was smart.
Yeah. So when some people were struggling with juggling film and working a 9 to 5, God had it to where I could just worry about film. And my 9 to 5 and my bills were taken care of. But then it got a point where it wasn't there no more, so I had to make it work. Yeah. And making it work means I was a PA for 3 years.
Oh, really?
And and some people frown upon being a free PA, but I put in so many hours that just overtime, it kind of made it work for me. Like I don't know why, but I'm used to standing up for 16 hours.
Yeah. So that doing the PA kind of prepared you for the next level.
And also being a PA, I was able to stand close to directors, and I know what cologne they wore. You know what I mean? I was just so close to them. I had I'll just tell you a story about Stan Lathan. Everybody don't know who Stan Lathan is. That's Sanaa Lathan's father, and he did a few things with Sanford and Son. He did a few seasons with Will Smith, Fresh Prince. He do a lot of things with BET, but he's done a lot of stuff. But one day, I was pushing a cart with him, and I pushed it, and he had some hot sauce, and the hot sauce fell over. And I could have easily cleaned it up and not told him about it, but he didn't open the bottle yet, so I told him. He's like, man, don't worry about it, man. It's all good, man. Cool. But I could tell he was kind of upset. So later, before the show was over, I went and bought him 2 more bottles of it, and I gave it to him. And he was like, oh, man, thank you for being a stand-up guy, man. Cool, man. I really appreciate that. And we had a little conversation, kind of let me in on his life a little bit, So that very night, one of the actors had a comedy show, and we all as a crew went to support the actor. And once we got there, he was getting out of valet parking, and I was parking my car, and we walked in together. And once we walked in together, we didn't know where we were sitting at. We just sat at the closest table, and we sat there and had drinks and got to talking to men. And then all the other producers came over and they wanted to talk, you know. But it was, to me, it was like he let me in to understand that, dude, I'm just like you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I have the same fears you have, the same doubts you have. But the only thing with me is just I know what I'm doing. I mean, he's not going to stop doing what he's doing. Yeah. And things like that along the way kind of open up doors for me. And right. But so if I was to advise anybody about that, any filmmakers, try to get on as a PA anywhere you can, whether it's free, whether it's paid. But while you're doing that, always have your vision of what your end goal in mind. Don't just get in entry level and then say you made it. No, it's always something that you can do to see your vision come alive.
Okay. So how did you make the transition, or what was the opportunity that transitioned you from being a PA to filmmaking, being a filmmaker?
Well, I coming from film school, I guess I thought in film school, you think that, oh, you're gonna leave, you're gonna graduate, you're gonna just go out and everybody's gonna want you to produce a project and all that. Right. So that didn't happen. But the drive to produce, write, and direct always was there. So even when I became a PA, I just looked at different angles and saw things from a director's point of view. And then I saw numbers, I saw budgets, I saw scheduling, and it just all came together for me. But I crossed over and I'm a teamster, I'm a driver, and you'd be surprised at what the drivers make on set.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's, it's something that I wish I would have knew before, but I didn't know, so I went the long way around, and then, but that opens up a lot of doors for me to do that. So, but that's just helped me along the way. But that's what I was saying. Like I went to film school. I went to theology school, and then I went to truck driving school.
You went to theology school?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay,
well, and then
Dunbar.
I know, right? But I don't even know why I went, but I went. I actually met some guys that were outside of Fort Benning. They went to church with me, and I went with those guys, and we actually started this jailhouse and prison ministry, and also talking to the kids in the detention center. And so I just did it, and one of the guys was going to theology school and also doing that ministry, and he's like, come check it out with me one day. And I checked it out, and I enjoyed it, man. I was in it, man. I read it about 2-3 times, and had a concordance, had a thesaurus, and I just loved it, And so people say, man, you should be a preacher now. But I'll tell you one thing that that helped me with coming from theology school. It gave me freedom. It just gave me freedom to be who I wanted to be.
Oh.
Not necessarily a great Christian. It just gave me freedom to now know that there's someone protecting me. There's someone guiding me along the way.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So I'm not the best Christian. I'm not the super duper Christian, and I still do crazy stuff. I still do crazy stuff. But the whole thing about just having a walk with God is knowing that He's there. Along the way.
That's right, and He's got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, He's got your back.
Yeah. And so that was
that's good.
Yeah. So theology school gave me freedom. I tell people that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good. I've never heard anyone describe it like that before, but that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've hung out with some great pastors, and then some guys talked about go get a church, but I knew that me being in the pulpit wasn't what I was supposed to do. Me being an evangelist, that's a different story. But me being in the pulpit wasn't. I won't say it wasn't, but maybe later on down the line. But right now, I know film is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right, and I mean, and that's your ministry too.
Yeah.
Your ministry doesn't necessarily mean pulpit, and that's why I say what I'm doing. I mean, this is ministry as well, but it's helping people. So Yeah, it's not necessarily about being in the pulpit.
And you always have a glow about you. Yes, you do. And I'm sure everybody understands what I'm talking about. Everybody know what I'm talking about. Yeah. You know, like it's just some people that you just see is like, I need to be talking to. They got something for me. You know, it's like you drawn to people, and you know, and I'm sure everybody probably experience. I mean, everybody experienced the same thing I experienced with you, and you know, that's a plus. You know, some people you don't want to be around, but some people you love to be around, and you were one of those people.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yes.
Yep. So this is the question I want to ask.
Okay.
Getting back to Tango.
Okay.
I always like to tease you with this, but when is the mother gonna get some payback for what they did to her son Chase?
I know, right? We need to think about that.
She needs to get some payback because I got these locks in my hair right now, but I got the big fro now. I could come back fierce now. I could come back some Foxy Brown on.
Just put the hair back and put some Vaseline on. You'll be ready because you were passionate. You like we was like Britney, I'm calling the police.
Yes. We shared it. Patricia and I. She had she does some classes through her company at AT&T, and she did shared about the industry, the acting industry and film industry, and so we shared it with some of the participants in the class. And they were so into it, and they were like, oh my gosh. So I showed them like the first 5 minutes or so of it, and my scene, and then they were like, oh, I'm going to go back home and finish watching this. They were really into it.
Yeah, you gotta watch it all.
Yeah.
And you know what I do that sometimes? People ask me or we talk about film, and I just pull my phone, I show it to them, and then I'm like, okay, cool. You don't have to watch the whole thing. They be like, nah, man, I need to watch the whole thing. I need to finish it. You know, and that's the great writing. I mean, not from me, but it's just the project just came together. You know, and I've been on some other sets and I spent more money than what we spent on Tango, and the chemistry wasn't there. It was always bickering, complaining, and it's just one of those things. It's like once you finish the project, like everybody just parted went their way. Like, man, I'm glad that's over. But with Tango, it wasn't that. It wasn't like that. It was
It was. It was really great. And thank you, Patricia, because Patricia was she helped me out with
she read lines for you.
She read my lines. Yeah, she read for me. She read the lines so I could do my part. Yeah, so that was really great. Yay.
So, but I think I would know what your accent is. Like, how could you be having this type of background and then do a movie like Tango? Is that what you want to ask?
Well, yeah. Since you bring it up. Since you brought it up.
Well, I guess from what writing, I guess we wanted to do something that was like a statement, but then we also wanted to do something that was creative. And when you put 5 guys in a room together, stuff just started going crazy, man. And but it actually came out pretty good. A lot of one of the teachers, she edited it for me, and she was like, Dunbar, you don't need to let this be your first movie. You need to do other stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. I listened to her, but I still put it out, Yeah.
And I remember I called you, and I was like, Dunbar, is there a way to
edit the version?
I was like, I can't show this to my mom.
It's like, nope, that's all we got. We don't have another one. That's it.
Yeah.
It's because I think with me is it's even with watching Tango and other movies I've done and other projects, like you can go in and you can fix all those things and make this, tweak this, but you'll be there forever. Because there'll never be a non-stop. You'll be like, let's do this, change this, edit this, or critique that, or change that. But after a while, I think it's just like us. It's like you can take a photo and you can go through and Photoshop everything, but the scars, the blemishes that you have, it's you. And I just leave the project. Once it's done, that's the project.
That's it.
It just walk like Picasso or the other guys that did great paintings. Just sometimes you got to walk away from it.
Yeah, yeah, and you're right. I mean,
just let it be.
Yeah, you just have to let it be. Yeah, and actually, one of my cousins, he contacted me because I didn't know he was gonna go look for it. So he went in and found it on YouTube. He was like, and he texted me. He was like, "Yeah, cuz I saw Tango." I was like, "What?"
He's like, "What are you doing?"
He was like, "Oh, cuz, calm down. It wasn't in there." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah. So I have another one. It's called Your Faith Farm. Dr. Muhammad, Shael, Carl, Britney. Those people worked on the film with me, and was one of those feel good. It was about a young girl that wanted to take over her dad's farm. Like she wanted more responsibility, and she saw her dad need help. She wanted more responsibility, and the funny thing about that was, me and Mr. Muhammad worked on Home Free. He was one of the contestants that competed. That competed for the houses, and what happened was he just wanted to do something to promote his farm, and I wrote it for him and his son, well, a son and a father, and we just at the last moment we changed it to a girl and a son. I mean, a gun and a daughter and a father, and I changed the dialogue, and it actually came off pretty good.
Wow! Yeah.
And we shot it in 18-degree weather.
What?
Yeah, and none of the actors.
I know what that's like. Yeah, I've been there. Been there.
Woo,
yeah.
man.
Patricia knows. She knows. Yeah.
I know, and
in
the 18-degree weather is, woo, it was cold. And so what we did was, I was kind of like, we set a date, and then close to that date, we saw that it was going to snow. And then it was like, man, we don't need to do it in the snow. I was like, man, do you know the quality of the film, we see snow dropping down the sky, man, that'd be great. And then they were like, nah, man, let's just wait till tomorrow. So it snowed that day, and we came back the next day. It was colder than it was the day before when it snowed.
Oh my God.
It was like 21 that day, and the next day it was 18 because the snow had frozen on the ground. Yeah. And I was like, oh, but we got it out, knocked it out.
Knocked it out. Yeah. Yep. Film work is it's you got a lot to deal with, especially with the weather conditions and all that. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's definitely
Plan a perfect picnic. But you can't predict the weather. That's one saying about film. It's true.
Yeah. Okay, so you said next you have coming up is that what's your next film again?
We have a suspense film.
Yeah.
We're gonna probably play with the name, change the name, so we have a name. A few people reached out to me about a faith-based film about a young gay girl. It sort of puts me in the mind of what's Dwayne Wade's wife's name?
Oh, Gabrielle
Union, Mary Jane. And then also, I'm always creating stuff behind the scenes for myself. So, but then one time I was in film school, and I thought I could only do films that I wrote, and then I found out that I love doing other people's movies.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay.
I do because I write.
Why is that? Yeah.
Okay, when I write a film, I write it, and the dialogue is from a man's point of view, and sometimes I'm like quiet. My dialogue is not like too big or something like that. But from other people's that are true writers, like the dialogue is like blossoming, and it has punchlines and jokes in it, and then that kind of adds that flavor that I'm kind of missing as a writer. And so when the punchlines are there and the jokes are there, it just makes the acting that much better.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Some people are great with the storyline and like creating a great storyline, and then you add someone in that can sweeten the dialogue and take the jokes to another level. And I think that's a collaborative effort. But that's what great filmmaking is.
Okay. Yeah, and actually, I have something that's very dear to me that a story that I came up with, and a storyline I came up with, and I shared it when I was in acting school with my acting instructor, and she was like, "Well, the way you've written it is more like a film," and I was like, "Really?" So I was like, "Yeah," and I mean, I still have a bit to write in it, but I'm like you, where I pretty much have the storyline, but as far as the dialogue and all that, it takes another eye or another person to come in and really fill all that in the way it needs to be filled in. So I see what you're saying.
Right, and that next level takes. Have you watched Power?
I have. Power? Yeah, I have watched Power. Yeah, the
great
Power
dialogue.
is They definitely have a strong
And some sitcoms, snappy jokes, snappy comebacks, like those are great way of writing. I like a movie like what was it? With Patrick, the guy who was trapped in what's the name of the movie? Castaway.
Oh yeah.
That's no dialogue, less dialogue, but it still was a great movie. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah. Those type of movies really.
I Am Legend.
With
Will Smith. I Am Legend.
Yeah.
Those are great movies.
Yeah, great movies because it's like, because the dialogue isn't there, so it's like, you got all this.
Yeah, you gotta be a great actor.
You gotta be a great actor, to carry that scene like that. Yeah. Yep. So wow.
Shout out to Will.
Okay. Yes. Will Smith. Keep doing your thing.
You follow him on Instagram?
I do. Oh, man. I love his Instagram.
This guy has the best
Instagram. Yes.
Did you see him do that In My Feelings challenge?
Yeah, I saw the In My Feelings challenge. Will, you did the doggone thing. Now I'm gonna. You got me wanting to do one now, Will Smith. So.
Yeah, you might as well.
I said I'm gonna do it, so I just have to.
And Will's a Libra too. He's a fellow Libra too. So
oh, okay.
He seems like he gives great advice.
Yeah.
He has a perspective of life that a lot of us don't know about as far as finances, but he still seems real grounded. Very grounded.
Yes, very grounded. Yeah.
And that's a good thing. Family, I'm sure his family helps him with that too.
Yeah. I'm sure.
And then having a beautiful wife like Jada helps out too.
Right. Who is also very down to earth and grounded. So I'm loving her Red Table Talk.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a few episodes of that and had some sound bites, and I think they got something there. Yeah. It's same thing you're doing here. Just set the cameras up and talk.
Right, exactly. Just
and
that's
then
it.
Get so many views and so much money, and then it just gives great dialogue for the next episode.
Right. Exactly. Wow. So, this final question. So, do you think that do you believe that you have nailed your purpose, or there's still more to come? And I know that's a big question, because I know that, of course, we know that the journey of purpose is always growing.
Yeah, I think I've nailed it. I found what I'm supposed to be doing, and then I think to be more effective at that, I think that's the key to it. I think I ran into an engineer a few days ago, and he has a team where he puts in sewer lines and tap water to people from the city lines to their houses, and he does that for a living. He makes great money at that. But then he also goes over to Africa, South Africa, and West Africa, and he helps people purify water and find water. So he said God put him on his purpose to do water. Like so he's taking his passion to make money from it, and then he's been able to help people with it. So I think once I kind of get that passion of making great money, and then helping people, helping people, I think that's the ultimate goal. Yeah. So it's like you go seamless into one to the other. Right. And that's where I want to be.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's one of my sayings too, is that passion begets purpose. Yes. So your passion leads you to your purpose, because when I started out with this, it was all about my passion for style and fashion.
Very stylish, very. You know what? I think we brought you in for an audition for another film. And it was so much competition with that, because there were so many beautiful ladies, man.
It was.
Wow. And there was so many beautiful ladies. And I mean, you didn't get the role, but the one girl that got the role, she did a great job as well, because she had the afro and she was but you came in, and when you was there, like, the actual mother was sitting there in the audition with us because we were portraying her character. And she was like, "Wow, I love her style. I love her pizzazz, you know." And then you were there, and we called you back again. You know, you were her favorite. We brought you back again, and it just we all put names in the hat, and we, you know, best person won. You know, but it was that was that way through that whole project. We just had so many girls, so much competition.
And I remember that, and I was just like, and I think from an actor's point of view, it's like, when you go in for that first round of auditions and they love you, and then it's like, yeah, I'm in there, they love me, and then they're like, okay, we need you to come back and do it again, and then it's like, oh,
it's like, really? It's like, can you record? Or
right,
don't you got tape of what I just did?
Right.
But it's a suspense there, but I mean, I think that second one is like, it's kind of catch-22 because you really want to do what you did before, but then you feel like, oh, I can add another little wrinkle to it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like you want to add that wrinkle to it, but then you say, well, maybe stay with the safe side of me coming back and they doing the same thing because they wanted me back for a reason. You know, so, but I guess, and I tell actors, you know, this is what I say. You don't have to do this, but just drink a glass of wine just to mellow out. You know what I mean, before you go to the audition. A lot of times you walk into the room and you feel that it's so serious, and but sometimes if you don't have to talk much. You just come in and just mellow out and just be yourself. And sometimes those auditions are great. And like I remember we had one audition with this guy, and like the person came in before him. They were funny, they were over the top with it, and then it was a scene between a guy and a girl, and he just like grabbed the girl and just shook her, and he's like gonna hit her, right? And he's like, you know, it was just a joke at that time, right? And so the next guy came in with the next girl, and we say, here, smack her, just hit her one time. And the guy was so scared of hitting her. He was like, I can't do it, I can't do it. I was like, man, go ahead and hit her, man. He was like, no, man, I can't do it. Wow. And then he just, because it was a role where it didn't even fit the script. We just did it because the first couple did it, and it was so funny. We wanted to see everybody else do it after that. And he was like, he just tapped her across the face. I was like, no, man, don't do that. You gotta smack her. And then the girl was like, go ahead, hit me, I can take it. You know, it was funny, man.
Oh, that's great.
But the guy could not hit her, though. He just couldn't bring himself to do that, you know. But that was a funny audition, though, man.
That's funny. That's funny. Put the guy on the spot like that, man.
And then he was like, I can't hit her in front of the camera now. You got it recorded. That's criminal evidence, you know. He's like, no, man, I can't do that. But it was a funny joke, you know.
That's funny. Yep, that's the world of, that's the industry. Yes. Very interesting.
I've been telling people, I like how I look at the screen. It's a nice little setup. It looks pretty dope.
Yeah, it's a really nice setup here. So, yes, shout out to Twin Spirit, owner of this venue. Art House Alive is where we're airing from again tonight. So, if you have an event, look her up online, arthousealive.com, and you can see what the space is available for and all that good stuff. I highly recommend it. I love coming here. It's a very, very good space. Yeah. Yeah. Man, if you guys can't see the pool out here, but you got a nice pool view. I mean, I actually did a tour. I interviewed her a couple months ago, and we walked around the tour and so forth. So you can go back and view that as well. See.
I mean, it's got pools, it's got AstroTurf. Yeah. And then it has a long driveway that comes in down in the road, and it's an actual nice spot. Yeah. It's ducked off in the woods too. Yeah. If you pass by it, you won't know it's here.
You won't know it's here. Yeah, so that's why I was surprised to find that this place was just right up the street from my house. Yeah. But anyway, we're going to come to a close. Let's see who else has joined us. Priscilla came back. Hey, Priscilla. And Patricia's still here. Yay. So we're going to go ahead. This was great. This was great talking to you tonight. And
always talking to you. Great.
Yeah. So we're going to keep in touch, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Always.
Most
You gotta post some more. Do some more posting.
I know,
on
social media.
medias.
I know. I need to do that, man.
Yes.
I post a little bit, like maybe twice, once a week or something like that, but I need to.
Yeah.
You know.
So when people want to find you, they can find you on Instagram as
Dunbar.
Dunbar.
Yeah. And Facebook's Jared Dunbar. And that's all I got. I don't do Twitter or Snapchat, nothing like that. I just do that. But if you really want to find me, just inbox me. I answer every inbox message, especially if it's about film or if it's something creative. I will give you my ear, and I've had the same number for 12 years. So
Yes.
I'm not hard to find.
Yes. So yeah, definitely reach out to him. He's a great guy to work with, especially if you have some film projects in mind. I highly recommend him. Yeah. So do that. So, thank you all for tuning in, and I want to share that our upcoming episode will be next week for Style by God, Style for a Purpose. It will be a very special broadcast that we're doing next Saturday. This will be in memory of my dear friend Chevalier Paul. He was tragically murdered a little over a week ago. It took all of us definitely by shock. He was such a good person, just an awesome guy. So we're gonna do a special Style by God, Style for a Purpose in memory of him on next Saturday, July 28th. So tune in for that, and we will definitely continue carrying out his memory. He was also a model for my men's line, Style by God for Men. So if you all have been following me, you've seen the post with him in the shirt and the hat. That's Chevalier. So we know you're looking down on us, Chevalier. Love you, man.
Yes, sir.
So until next time, thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cool.
Yeah, that was